Hi, I just thought I'd come on here and talk about mental health really. I know the government have done a big push on improving the mental health services, and there's a wider recognition with regards to mental health and the support out there for people, etc, etc. So whether I was naive or what, I don't know, but I was shocked recently when somebody close to me has gone forward to try and get some support from the mental health services in the NHS, and I naively thought we had progressed forward a lot further than we actually have. I won't name any names, but I just want other people's take on this topic and what they've encountered with regards to mental health services in their area. But anyway, what occurred was somebody who I know, who I'm very close to, has had to access this service, and they've had to push for it considerably. You know, it's got to a point where this person is what I would class as requiring the service urgently, because that person is self-harming, is having suicidal thoughts. It's a cry for help as far as I'm concerned. It's becoming quite desperate, I feel, and they've done the right thing and gone to the GP, requested referrals, pushed it through, and after a long convoluted time got assessed and basically received nothing from the service. So 2 months further down the line, pushed again for a further assessment, and received an assessment and was seen by a doctor and I assume a counsellor or of some form. She never said what she was, this other person that was there with them, and the doctor who saw them, within 15 minutes of being in the room with them, not knowing them at all, having very scanty information on their file, made a very quick and what I deem to be a blase assessment to say that this person had no clinical mental illness that required urgent care, i.e. could diagnose bipolar, schizophrenia, severe depression, and therefore they felt they couldn't offer them any more support. And I just don't get that. I don't get that at all. How can that be when this person is clearly needing help and support and wanting to get better, due to circumstances beyond their control earlier on in their life, has culminated to this point basically, and now that they're in a, I believe, a mental health crisis point, and the service are dismissive of this. And the reason behind that is because they haven't successfully attempted suicide, and I don't get that. I don't get it at all, and it's so upsetting because I think how many other people out there have tried to reach the mental health service and got nowhere, and then successfully managed to end their life basically. How can it be allowed? I'm considering doing some research into this to see mortality and self-harm and death due to suicide, because I think it must be astronomical, and I don't think there is a clear picture out there of how many desperate people there must be who in actual fact end up ending their lives due to the service not listening to them and disregarding their issues, just because they haven't got deemed to have a clinical clear diagnosis that is severe enough for a service to offer them support. Yet you've got this person who is self-harming and having extreme suicidal thoughts, and not having access to the service of counselling is beyond belief to me. It really is. How can we allow this? It's like saying you can't break your arm. You know, this person has been doing things that they're not proud of, but the doctor responded with a flippant comment, as far as I'm concerned, in stating that it's a choice. You either do it or you don't. And it's like basically asking an alcoholic and putting a bottle of alcohol in front of them and saying, there you go, there's your temptation. Now it's a choice. You either take it or you don't. Who hasn't had any support whatsoever in how to battle it and to refrain from hitting the bottle, basically. That's the best analogy I've got with regards to this person's circumstances. So they're basically being told, you need the willpower to do it. Now, whether you have had circumstances where you've had an addiction, I don't know. You probably know somebody who has had an addiction in the past of some sort, and you know very well how hard it is for a person who is an addict to some form of substance to come clean from it on their own. You need support, and they are dismissing this person as if they don't need any support. And yes, this person actually has gone into the criminal element, I guess. It's pushed them into that area out of desperation, and they're asking for help. They don't want to do these things. They clearly don't. They are asking for help, and the service are disregarding it, and the response is that they need to leave it to the police for a forensic psychologist to possibly offer counselling, or more than likely lock them up instead. Is that a right way for society to deal with these people? Surely it's so short-sighted, and we should be dealing with people in a more compassionate way and being able to offer them a preventative method, as opposed to something like throw them into a mental hospital or into a prison where they're not going to get the psychological help they require, and they're probably going to end up in even more crime and abuse, I guess, of some form. I don't know if you can see me very clearly, but the sun's shining in. Anyway, where was I? So basically the bottom line is that somebody here is trying to help themselves from possibly committing crimes, not due to their own control. It's more of a compulsion, and it's been passed on to the police. How is that any form of help? or support for individuals out there who've got mental health problems, and then the police are now overstretched as well, with funding, and they're supposed to deal with these, and either they've committed a crime and end up getting locked up, or they don't, but they're worried about them, so they stick them in a mental hospital or something. I don't know, it just doesn't make sense. Any of it does not make sense at all, and I just feel it's a crying shame in this day and age for people who are aware that they have issues and they want to help themselves and are attempting to help themselves, and not receiving the appropriate support. And as far as I'm concerned, this person was dismissed, very blasé, sort of dealt with dismissively, with regard to any form of appropriate diagnosis within the 15 minutes of seeing them. How on earth can you assess schizophrenia or bipolar or any of those mental health disorders that are a lot more complex than a 15-minute consultation, and they had to rush off to their next consultation because they were late in the appointment they attended? I don't know. I would love to hear more thoughts on this, of people, of what you've witnessed or come across with regards to accessing mental health services. I truly believe there are people out there crying out for help, yet not receiving the appropriate help that they need in order to prevent any crime being committed or any self-harm being committed. I mean, I don't know, technically suicide is a form of crime, I guess, but you know, does it have to be that severe, a loss of life, before somebody deems it to be at a critical stage? I don't know. I'm not a mental health clinician. I'm not qualified in the mental health service, so I can only state this from my perspective. But to me, it just does not make sense that unless you are in such a critical condition where you have made a serious attempt at your life and thankfully not succeeded in that respect, are you deemed severe enough to receive appropriate counselling help? I don't know. That is wrong. People should be supported before they reach that stage. We don't want to be dealing with critical people. We need to be dealing with it before it gets to that point. And stop flooding the prison services with people who probably do not belong in there at all. And now we're creating more criminals because they end up in the life of crime, because that's what they see day in, day out, being in prison. I don't know. Maybe discuss this more often. I don't know. All I know is that I just don't feel it is right in any shape or form. I feel very strongly about this. Mental health is a big subject. You know, there's a lot of extremes in there, and there's a lot to deal with in there. And just because we don't understand all the things that go on with our mental health doesn't mean it's right not to attempt to try and do so or help an individual. You know, basically this person was told they have choices. They either do it or they don't. But they're telling that mental health professional that they currently need support in stopping those impulses, and they're dismissed. I feel that they were dismissed on this occasion, and I feel if this has happened to somebody very close to me, how many other people out there have been dismissed so flippantly, and even lost their lives, I believe, due to not having the right support. And I'm sorry, this is such a somber vlog. I didn't mean it to be. It's just that I'm so upset over this subject. I'm so upset that our NHS is a great thing, but I feel that there are areas where there's a huge letdown in the services, and in the service we provide, and I feel that we need to shine a light on this and improve it. That's the only way, by shouting about it and hopefully getting some form of momentum to improve services, will we get anywhere. So please give me your thoughts, advice to pass on would be greatly appreciated. Sorry about the light. It's terrible, really. So, sorry. Yeah. So I should have done it there. It's probably better. Yeah. Please get in touch. I have total empathy for anybody who's struggling with mental health. Depression is a large subject on its own. I'm not saying this person is necessarily depressed. I suspect they are. I suspect they have depression as well as other things going on. But to not receive an appropriate counselling service where they can actually diagnose a person appropriately, and then offer them appropriate support or techniques where they can and hopefully move forward. I mean, we have rehabilitation centres for alcoholics, for drug addicts. I just don't think we have rehabilitation centres for other areas that are needed as well, for other addictions that are going to be more prevalent, I think, as we move forward, with the new generation coming through. That's my thoughts. But stay positive, guys. I'll end this vlog on the note that my motto is to try and do one good deed every day, and just think what a better world this would be if we all followed something similar. And that's not one good deed to somebody necessarily you know. It's one good deed to maybe a stranger. Maybe pass it on, pay for somebody's coffee, I don't know, let somebody out at a junction. They may be in a massive hurry and you may have saved them something really important. I don't know, but I just feel that by passing on a little bit of goodwill is helpful. And also, if you ever have the opportunity to be positive to somebody as well, and give them a kind word. That might be the only kind word that they have that day. But we're all dealing with battles in our lives, and at some point we all deal with something that our mental health cannot deal with and needs other support. So let's make this a better place and a better world to live in. Thanks, guys, and I shall speak to you again soon, hopefully. Bye.